We are so excited to have the general manager of the Utah Mammoth, Bill Armstrong, joining us on the show. And I know you've had a busy and exciting start to this season, but we have to ask you first off, Logan Cooley getting that deal done. Tell us how it unfolded and how important it was to get that done.
Well, we'd been working at it for a while, and we'd taken a few pauses, here and there. They're pretty tough negotiations. Obviously, there's some data points that came in along the way. I think, the agents and players are very, I'll say scared, but they're a little nervous on where the money was moving and didn't want to look bad if it was a long-term deal. And I feel like this is a great deal for not only the organization but also for the player. It helps us for sure in the sense that we're moving forward with a good young player for a long time, and he's going to help us to get into some championship windows with this organization. So we're definitely really excited about it. It was a huge day for us yesterday.
Bill, with the announcement yesterday, did you guys really get the deal done a few days earlier? I think that's an admission that I'm bad at my job.
No, you're really good at your job. First of all, you're normally on it. At times, I feel like you bug my house or my phone, but no, I think you're very good at what you do. We were just very quiet. We use sign language a lot of the times, and put our hands over top of our mouth around the house, and talked in code. That's the only reason you didn't figure it out this time.
Got it.
Hey,
well,
Bill,
still, go ahead, Kate.
Sorry, Bill, I just wanted to ask you, if you take your GM hat off for a minute with what you guys have built in Utah, when you hear a player that signs a long-term deal like that say that this is the most fun he's had playing hockey, how special is that with how much work you guys have put in behind the scenes?
It's good. I mean, there's a lot of people behind the scenes. One of our top assistants in our organization, Aaron Biello, from the time the player gets off the flight they get here with their families, I mean, they're catered to the time that they leave. And we try to go above and beyond in every facet for the player to make sure that their experience here is unbelievable. I think that's also a credit to Andre Tournay, who runs an incredible job behind the bench and coaching and making sure that in this new wave of players that his specialty is communication. And I think every player feels like they're valued when they're here, and it's a good experience for them. So it's certainly a full organization. It takes a full organization to make sure you have a great environment, along with a great owner, Ryan and Ashley Smith, do an incredible job here providing us with the elite facilities that we have. So there's a lot of things I smile about in the morning when I drive in the mountains and what Ryan and Ashley have done here for this organization. And very quickly, it's a pretty cool place to play hockey.
I know it was a very quick mindset change when players got off the plane, Bill. They knew that this experience would be different. But when do you think on the ice, from a hockey perspective, teams and opponents stop thinking about you guys as the Coyotes?
I think as soon as we got to Utah, I think Ryan, he lined up the players, said, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And, word spreads quickly in the NHL. And I think when the other teams walked in and saw the practice rink, the game rink, and saw the visiting team's dressing room, is like, oh, wow, this is the nicest in the league. And all of a sudden these fans are loud and everybody's wearing Utah jerseys. This is the real deal here. So I think Ryan had a lot to do with that. He put us on the map. And I think, we've done a good job behind the scenes at running things, but you need a really good owner if you want to win a championship. And he is a really good owner, and along with his wife, they do an incredible job here.
You mentioned Andre Tournay, and I'd have to imagine that every day coming to the rink, he's excited with what he can deploy and has at his disposal. Because I look at your forward group now, and we'll splash those lines up on the screen. I don't know which one's your top line. Like, you can order them however you want, but Peterka, Cooley, and Gunther, for my money, like, they're not just the best young line in the league. They might be the best total line in the league.
Yeah, they're pretty good. And I just want to throw out a quick pitch. I know I got to sell a little bit here, but you left out Dylan Gunther. This guy scored every game-winning goal in the NHL since, we're early on. I think he's got like 5. No, can't we talk about him for Team Canada? Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Also, Logan Cooley and Schmaltz and Schmaltz would make a good run at it for Team USA. But it's a biased GM opinion here from a guy that gets to see them do their work every night. But yeah, our lines are good. I like where we're at. JJ kind of cemented our top two line ability. That is, to me, the fastest line in the National Hockey League, and they're a threat every time they're on the ice. And they're an exciting brand of hockey to watch. I think when people see Logan and JJ and Dylan play, it's pretty exciting. Like they're pushing the pace. They play at an unreal pace, and it even affects you in practice when those guys are flying. It forces your D-man to match their speed, and it just produces, we practice pretty hard here when we're on the ice together. So they're making everybody better all the time. And it's, you can see that excitement, not only from Coach Tournier when he enters the building, but along with the players. They get excited about playing with other good players.
Bill, you mentioned JJ Peterka. I did ask Frank how he thought he fit into the lineup last week, and he said, like a glove. So there's a little nod to your hard work behind the scenes. But I wanted to ask about your vision. You've got a team that made a real push at the end of last season. Now they've come at gate 8-3-0. As this season continues, if they stay on this pace, how does your vision evolve, and what are you looking for in terms of fitting in the fabric of this team, but elevating this team down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, the good news with this, with the club is, you've seen this in micro bursts from last year at the end of the season and this at the start of the season. And I don't know if it's fully sustainable all the way through. You're going to have some adversity that comes your way somehow with injuries and all the other things that can distract you. But for us, I think that we got a good chance, and I've always said this from the get-go. Our goal here is to make playoffs. We want to get into playoffs, and we have talked about it openly with the players and the press and the fans. That is our goal. It's not to win the league. It's to make playoffs. So we got to keep our eye on the prize going through it. But I think that this team has a good shot to do that. And I think every night we treat coming to the rink, every single game, it's game 7 every single night for us, and that's the focus of the team. And as long as we're not standing around and reading our press clippings about how good we are, and we're coming to the rink working, we got a shot to win and be in every game.
Bill, I know Nick Schmaltz is a good player, but has he taken another step? Like, what have you seen from his game? What has he layered on to be able to put himself in this position early on in the season?
It's a great question. He's been unreal for us. But confidence, in my opinion, comes from a source. And that source for Nick was he trained hard in the summer. He put some weight on. He had a skills guy. He spent a huge amount of time improving his game and putting a lot of time into becoming better. His analytics have actually changed the way he plays. So he's been impressive from the get-go coming through. And obviously, sometimes it's contract year and players aren't. They find a way to put it on the board. But Nick's been great. He's been unreal. He's been a very consistent factor every single night for us. So he's a part of our threat. And I know Clayton Keller and him have a special chemistry together. So when Nick's going, normally Kells is going at the same time.
Unpack that for us. What does that mean, that the analytics have changed the way he plays?
Well, I think when you send your players off in the summer, and you have your final meeting with them, I think it's changed. I think it's like, you used to have a mechanic look at your car and go, hey, I think it's this, I think it's that. Now you plug it in, it tells you exactly what's wrong with it. And I think that's the way that when we're big into the whole package here of analytics, skills coaches, strength training, everything, sports nutrition, whatever it is, we're into it. So we put together a pretty good understanding of what they have to improve, whether that's attacking the house, being better around the net, being more accurate with your shot. We send them home with the game plan. That's basically it's a fact from the numbers. And so I think when you attack it that way in the summer, players normally, when you give them things to work on in the summer, 99% of them they love that. They want to attack it, improve it, and come back and show you, hey, look at, I improved it. And that goes back to my coaching days. I've always felt like when you put something on the table for the players to fix, they'll go back and fix it. And that's no different than Nick Schmaltz. He's done a great job at improving his game.
What have you seen from?
Go ahead.
What have you seen from Dmitri Simashev on the back end? I'm so excited about what you're building with him and Daniil Boot, the size, the total package, but getting a taste of the NHL and getting his feet wet. What have you seen so far?
Well, it's a hard game back there for a D-man. And when you're 20 years old and you think about our starting lineup, we'll go and play Tampa in a couple nights, and we'll have Simashev at 20, and Cooley's 21, and Gunther's 22, and Peterka's 23, and our old guy is Mikhail Sergachev at 27. So, there's a lot of youth on the ice, and he's a young demon. It's a hard league to play in it. I feel like he's advanced his game and he's having success because he played at the KHL for 2 years and he played for Omsk, and they won a championship last year, and he's used to the grind. He's a big man that can absolutely fly. His natural instinct is defense. I mean, he can, it'll take him some time to evolve, but when the game starts, he'll be against the best player on the other team every single night as a shutdown D. He's an elite skater. He goes about 6'5". I think he's about 225, 230 around there, and he can just absolutely fly. And he's hard to beat. You got to beat him 3 times up the ice. So he's certainly someone that's been impressive on our team. And I think with Mikhail Sergachev there, Sergey's done a great job mentoring him.
So I'm not saying this because you're here, but I'd say this like once a week on the show, that there's very few teams in the league that are as well equipped as you guys are for the present and the future, meaning you've got the prospects, you've got the picks, and you've got a solid foundation with your cap to be able to be flexible. Give us a quick prospect report. What are you seeing from TJ Ginla? Obviously, you sent him back to the WHL, but who else are you excited about in your organization?
Well, there's a number of different kids. Obviously, Denoye's, he's had some surgeries coming out of the draft, but he's probably the most exciting kid. Just his personality, what he can become. As a top 2 line center, we're so enthusiastic about seeing him develop this year in Moncton. Also, big Gabe Smith that's in there in Moncton. Also, he's a big body. He's like a Jack McBain. He's a big physical kid, so we're really excited about him. I think also too Daniel Boot down in the minors for us. He's a specimen. He's 6'8". He kind of almost looks like Tage Thompson out there. He can play. He's got to find a little bit more consistency out of his game. Sometimes he's the best player, in the game, and you're like he's dominant, and then other times he fades. So he's got to find that consistency in the minors. But he's a huge body and a huge talent, and at some point during the course of the year, he'll come up and show his talent. But those are some of the guys that you look at, and Ginla is also coming. Baudouin is also coming. We've got about 4 or 5 really top-end prospects that when they come in next year, they'll push for a job in the NHL, and that's a great thing in our organization is the young guys are pushing. It's great to have competition in camp.
Yeah, definitely a tough problem to have for you, a surplus of talent there. Bill, before we let you go, we do TGIF on Fridays. We ranked best road cities when it comes to food. If we're going to Utah, where do we need to go for food?
Well, number one is there's a tie. Valters has always been at the top of the list in Salt Lake. It's a go-to place. Great Italian, great steak. It's just from the moment you get there, they make you feel welcome. Mateo's is an up-and-coming one. It is the new one on the board. That it's really an amazing place to eat. The service there is incredible. They actually have a waiter that sings to you, which is pretty pretty incredible. He sings opera, and he brings down the house every time. So Mateo's is up there too.
All right. I suppose in a world with a lot of restaurants, you got to find a way to stand out, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Bill, thank you so much for joining us. We really loved having you on here and look forward to having you back on the show later in the season. Best of luck.
Oh, thanks, Kate and Frank. See you guys. Much appreciated.